Thank you for tuning in to Buck 20 Fishing. My name is Kevin. In this episode, I'm just going to do a walkthrough of my Hoodoo Impulse 120, share a little bit about some of the modifications I've made and my thoughts on this kayak. Appreciate you guys tuning in. So I'll start the walkthrough of my Hoodoo Impulse 120 with the handle at the front. So the kayak itself weighs 100 pounds. That includes the drive, but being able to put your kayak cart underneath there and utilize that handle to get you around is it's a nice handle for that, right? To handle that weight, it's comfortable in your hand. I'm pretty confident, with the durability of it. Also on the front here, you can see that there's a paddle keeper. The original bungees were a black color. I switched them out to the gray. I switched out all the bungees throughout the kayak to that gray to kind of match the deck mount, the deck pad that it's got there. So just a personal thing that I wanted to add. And then here I've got my Keep Reelin' Adventures leash, so I can park the kayak and attach it to my stakeout pole, or if I'm wade fishing, right, to keep me from losing my kayak. Here you can see my navigation lights that I use. They're yak powered. I have a lot of yak power accessories on this specific kayak. Here you see a spotlight to kind of help me light up the front of the kayak as I'm out in the bays for those early morning trips. I like the accessory track that it's got there also. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. This front hatch, as you can see, is pretty good size. One thing that I did add here, you can see, is this gasket around here. Not that it wasn't watertight. I had taken this out several times and didn't have any issue with water getting into there, but it was just a simple, DIY that I spent a couple dollars on at the hardware store just to add it on there to be proactive. Kind of give it a little bit more of a tighter fit. It doesn't impede the progress of it opening or closing, so I figured why not. You can see the hatch is decent size. You can throw some drinks in here with some ice if you want to use it as an ice chest or a bait to keep your catch inside there. You've got a drain plug to drain it out once you're done, and you can see I can fit my PFD in here. I generally store it in here for transport purposes, so when I get to where I'm going, I'm always sure I've got my PFD with me. So here's that gear track I was speaking about. There's a lot of gear tracks throughout this entire kayak, which I really enjoy. It gives you a great base to be able to, add a boomstick like I have here for that front angle. I've got the yak power USB port here off to the side, which will allow me to supply the juice I need for that spotlight, or also use it to provide power or juice for my GoPro, so I don't have to fumble with batteries throughout the day. But just something that I found very useful for my application, and kind of what I use. And the good thing is all that stuff comes off the gear tracks. You can remove all of that stuff if you're not, feeling like loading all the stuff up on a trip. The flush mount USB port, you can pull the connector off, and it doesn't impede the progress of or get in the way, right, of your fishing or whatever trip you've got planned for that day. So I really like that accessory, that add-on that I did to the kayak. So it works for me, not for everybody. Going over to the drive itself, so those of you that are familiar with the pedal drive systems, the fin style, this is falls in line kind of with the others. One thing that's different about this one is kind of how it mounts. If you're familiar with the Hobies, these have this specific application. You slide it down in there and turn the little levers. So the drive doesn't have reverse on it, so I have Hobies and they do have the reverse. So I was curious if there was a way for me to fit my drive into here, and I actually did find out that underneath these 4 Allen screws, I just simply put a spacer in there to raise that block up just a hair. Stainless steel spacers, and like I said, once I lifted it up, it allowed me to actually fit my Hobie 180 drive in there to where I had the reverse function if I needed it. You know, if I chose to go that route on a specific trip, I could do that. So here I am grabbing the drive, slide it in there. It is a snug fit, even with the spacers in there, but it does. The snug fit actually helps give me a little bit more confidence that it was in place and it wasn't gonna pop out during, you know, while I was out on the water. Just something that I figured out that, you know, I figured I'd share if anybody was interested in the reverse functionality of being able to do that right on this boat. But you can see the cables. There's plenty of clearance for them, and it's secure. It doesn't bounce around or anything. So I was happy that I was able to have that option. These front little hatches here, I wish they were a little bit bigger. They are enclosed though to this little cassette space here, so whatever you place inside there is not gonna slide throughout the entire hull. You know, a good place for your wallet or keys or phone. Here I've got some bug spray and some sunblock. Like I said, they're not massive inside, but they do serve a purpose for smaller items. Here off to the side, you know, once again the gear tracks allowed me to put my phone mount, my RAM mount, phone holder, my Lowrance fish finder, and then I've got the through hull kit there from Yak Attack. So I like that specific design. You know, it's a little more flush than some of the others that I was used to. So, and I have a preference. I like to have my items on the left side. The good thing is you've got the gear tracks on both sides on this kayak. So you've got options to put things wherever you want. This is just kind of how I like to have them. Once again, I've got another keep reeling product to secure my phone just in case it does fall off the mount, right? It's secured. You know, I've got the little eyelet attached to another gear track to secure that and keep it in place. Down here, I've got some more Yak Power lights to kind of light up my deck at night. If I need to search for something, I've got a red light that'll illuminate that deck, and there's kind of the control panel for all that. And it's also Bluetooth compatible, so you can, you know, if you download an app on your phone and utilize your phone to control all the lights. There's the kind of the Yak Attack through hull wiring kit, what the packaging looks like. So as I go onto the seat, I did upgrade the straps that were on the seat. I wasn't too confident in the plastic components on there, so just to be proactive, I went ahead and just spent a few dollars. I mean, these were like $12. They have like a 300-pound weight capacity. Just as much as time as I spend out on the water, I just wanted to reinforce that. So that was a choice that I made to go that route. The seat right now is in the high position. You can see that there's a high and mid and a low. I really enjoy it in the high position. The seat does move forward and backwards. You can see it in the high position. You've got plenty of room underneath it to store. You know, I've got my bag with my soft plastics. You know, my bump board, my yak stick there. One thing that I did notice about the kayak is the position of the seat's pretty important. I found myself, you know, out on the water on a fairly windy day with some pretty strong currents. I had the seat kind of in this back position here, and by doing that, I had a lot of the weight on the back end. If you notice, the back end's kind of short, and you have this longer front end that didn't have much weight to it. So it really made it difficult on that particular day to maneuver it and get around. So what I found was that if I just simply slid the seat forward, put my weight a little bit more towards the front, and then compensated for the length of my legs by adjusting the pedals, I had much more control. I felt a lot better in that position. So just a tip for anybody that's out, you know, having that functionality to be able to move that forward and backwards is great. But that just kind of distributed the weight a little bit better for me. But the seat in the high position is great for standing up. It's a little getting used to being able to adjust it and the little knobs and sliding it is just a part, I guess, of the learning curve, but not a deal breaker, something that I was able to get used to pretty quick. Here you can see on the side, I added this little taco clip, and once again, my bungee that I put on there to replace the factory one, but there's not a little concave or indentation in the side of the hull to allow your paddle to secure whenever you do put the bungee in place. So I put the little taco clip in there to kind of secure it so it wasn't moving around on me. That's just an add-on that I did, and I think a lot of people may find useful. You know, if you do a lot of time out on the water. You've got your standard rod holders here, 2 on the front, 2 on the back. They're you know, pretty standard for most kayaks. Here's a rudder system. It's a fairly simple rudder system. You release the ball and then it drops down. You can see there's a handle down there. The handle's not in the great spot. It's kind of odd where it's at, but it does serve its purpose and allows you to move it around. I did have to adjust the cables to make sure the rudder was a little bit more responsive. You can see I've got some more of the keel guard here on the back end of it, just to protect the bottom of the hull from that oyster rash and everything. So I've also got, you know, looking at the back end here, you've got a set of gear tracks here. I've got another camera boom for that rear angle. I've also got a, you know, so for my power pole, there wasn't really an option for me to mount my power pole. So this is actually a prototype that the folks at Hoodoo actually provided me for a recent tournament that I was going to fish, you know, and I'm very appreciative of that. Being able to use this and mount my power pole and have that functionality was great. It is bulky, right? And this model is kind of cumbersome looking, but this isn't what they're going to go to market with. They're working on one. Like I said, this is a prototype that worked great. It functioned that day out on the water, allowed my power pole to do its job without any issue. So I'm excited to kind of see what the finished product looks like. But you know, that definitely served its purpose. You know, I've got my Yak Power 360 light, which is extremely bright, all tied into that same Yak Power system. So it's a good product to be safe out on the water. A lot of the things I've added are, you know, things that I like, you know, just from the color of the bungees to you know, placement of things, but then, you know, all the safety components as well are definitely a necessity that you don't want to overlook, regardless of you know, how much time you spend out on the water. When you're out on the water, you know, I'm a firm believer that we all need to be safe and spending that time on the water. So you can see, if you're not familiar with the Yak Power 360 light, it's a pretty neat concept, right? So it's the whip itself comes in 3 parts. It breaks apart so you can adjust the length of how tall you want your light to stand. Everything fits inside the flag. The flag will actually, you know, hold each part of the whip itself. It does float, and it all attaches right there to that little port. And if you are transporting it or you know, loading it up on your vehicle, you can remove all that, not have and you know, have a nice flat surface. So as you can see, I've got my Kula in the back hatch area, plenty of room in the back there, and I've got my of course, got to have a Buck 20 logo sticker on the side. Got my anchor trolley here on the left side as well to help me with the drift sock and stuff. So on the bottom, I had a few people ask me about the transducer location. There is a spot cut out in the hull, and you've got a little protective shroud to protect that transducer, so which is a good thing. Good design here to keep it up out of the way, keep from getting damaged. So I hope if you're interested in the Hoodoo Impulse 120, I hope my insights during this video were helpful. It was a bit long, but I really wanted to cover, you know, everything that I've done to mine and really give my, like I said, my insights on the kayak. I think at a price point of $17.99, I think this is a great opportunity to to introduce the sport of kayak fishing to people, or just kayaking, right? To get them introduced to the sport and get some time out on the water. It's definitely a great option and a great base to build off of. So I appreciate everybody tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the video, and tight lines to everybody.